ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the hosts of What You Say Anime podcasts nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows to hopefully lead to a great discussion. In today's episode, the trainers of the What You Say Anime podcast will be reviewing the 1998 anime movie Pokemon, the first movie. Let's take a trip down memory lane. In honor of reliving our childhoods, tonight's opening question. Gentlemen, when you were a young lad, what was your favorite Pokemon then? And what was your favorite Pokemon now? Let's start with Jay.
Oh, yeah. My favorite Pokemon then was Blaziken. Favorite Pokemon, still Blaziken. He rocks. All-time classic. Love
Hell
that guy.
Hell yeah. Kat, how about you?
Yeah, so when I was younger, my favorite Pokemon was a toss-up between Pikachu and Eevee, but now it's Litten because I
Oh,
like cats.
that's
Hell
pretty
yeah.
good.
How about you, Miles?
Yeah, so when I was a little kid going to this movie, dragging my parents to bring me and my friends, my favorite Pokemon was Mewtwo. I love Mewtwo. Mewtwo is still my favorite Pokemon. I got my Mewtwo stuff, got my Mewtwo cards. I love me some Mewtwo.
You're not even showing your Pokemon Pocket collection of Mewtwo stuff. Shaking my head.
Yeah, was a big fan of this movie as a child because I loved Mewtwo so much, and seeing him get some screen time was really cool. So
That's what's up. And Pat, you get one today.
Oh, I'm so honored. So yeah, growing up, the first I guess I did see this movie when I was little, but I was like 3 years old when I watched it at 3 or 4 years old, so I barely remember it. But my first favorite Pokemon was my boy Umbreon. Great podcast content right here. But look at this little dude just chilling here, and it's mainly because what really got me hooked on Pokemon was the Pokemon Coliseum
Banger.
video game on
Bang.
GameCube. My parents rented it from Blockbuster, which for the youngins that are listening, used to rent video games from there. But yeah, so I rented it for 7 days, and my parents saw it. I loved it so much that they literally bought it from the Blockbuster. Somehow, I still have a box for Pokemon Coliseum, and it says on it in my dad's handwriting, "Do not return purchased" or whatever, like on it. It says so. That's a fun little Easter egg from my childhood, I suppose. But now
I got Ocarina of Time. I rented it so many times that my parents just bought it from the Blockbuster.
yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, my parents just took the initiative, I guess, with it. But now I would have to say my favorite over time, he has just grown on me so much. It is Psyduck, I would say. Psyduck or Slowpoke. But yeah, so that's basically it on my end. I love Pokemon. I've loved it for a long time. Pete, who is your favorite Pokemon?
Yeah, growing up, I always liked fat Pokemon. I'm not the biggest Pokemon guy, but I like big, cuddly Pokemon. So Dragonite and Snorlax were my favorite. And I'm still gonna go with Dragonite, especially with the upcoming that anime short where he's like delivering mail thing going on. I think I'm gonna fall in love with him again. So I think right now I'm
He's
gonna say
shaped like a friend.
Dragonite.
He's one of my favorites too, as you can see. So
It's one of Simone's favorites, yeah.
he goes so fast, and like, isn't the Pokédex entry kind of based the original one, at least based off of the movie in some way too? Like, you see him like going at supersonic speeds over the water or something like that, and
Yeah,
isn't the whole point that he can like circumvent the globe and like?
Well,
check
yeah,
it?
he can get, yeah, but it would be the movie based on the sprite because Green and Red came out in 1995. So
No, it didn't. Fake news. It's not. This everything came from this movie.
This was
Everything.
it. Even the show that predates this movie.
Yes, where they get all the gym badges that they mentioned. Yes, yeah, no, obviously, yeah, based on the game. Which God bless this game, right? Oh my God, Pokemon, we love Pokemon. All right, yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, once again, the Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. This aired back in 1998, done by Studio OLM, who have done almost every Pokemon property other than the newest stuff, I believe. Correct? And by newest stuff, I mean like the Pokemon Resort or whatever it was called, and the
Are they
Dragonite show.
doing
Correct?
Generations, like the newest anime show with Liko as the lead?
If only we had
Horizons,
this.
Pokemon
If
Horizons.
only we
Yeah,
looked
they
this
are.
up before.
I did.
I was just sitting there.
I just
Yeah.
checked. They also do that. Yeah, so they do a lot of the mainline Pokemon stuff.
They also do a girls golf anime apparently that I've never heard of. So interesting, and obviously Apothecary Diaries most recently, probably out of their biggest hits category, and Odd Taxi.
Yeah, they
Wow,
fucking
they've been
slap. They're
around.
like unironically my favorite studio. Like they just have bangers, and then also some other stuff.
And also summertime rendering. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, sad.
The golf one was the one I told you about, Pat, where she only has a 3-iron and just
Oh,
hits
is that
everything with a
that one?
3-iron. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's such a ridiculous premise in golf. I mean, I guess you can putt with a 3-iron pretty well, but like, how do you get out of a bunker? I guess that'd probably be. I hope they address that in the first episode because
I don't
it's
know
like,
how golf
Spoiler,
works.
they don't.
do they not? Okay, that's tough. Well, basically, the 3-iron is like really flat. Like each iron, the higher the number, the more loft you get, which allows you to like get air under the ball.
So would you say only having a 3-iron is like having one type of Pokemon on your team? It makes you less versatile. Like if you only had water types or something like that.
I suppose so. It'd almost be worse because you'd have to use it. You'd have to. Well, no, it is basically the same thing. That is a really good segue. Wow.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, that girls golf anime. Back to that.
Yeah, that was our show.
Yeah.
Oi Tondo.
No, okay. Yeah, let's get they did do Pokemon Origin, by the way. So there we go. OLM, the goats, apparently. Yeah, let's get into discussions about this movie. Themes of Pokemon, by the way. So, there we
Well,
go.
I
I
was
to say.
adding this to the spreadsheet, I like genuinely thought to myself the genre should be Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like I feel it is such a ubiquitous thing that I do think it's a little interesting we're talking about it on this because it's almost, I don't know, bigger than anime, if that makes sense. I don't know what you guys think about that, but like that was sort of a thing that I thought of. It is such a common, every generation of person I know about, you know, I have Gen Z or older Gen Alpha people at work and we talk about Pokemon together. It is just a cultural touchstone, universal across the world. It is insane how massive it is.
Yeah. My dad loves Pokemon and loves to say it like that just to piss my brother and I off. And my mom also loves it, but she tries a little harder and says the right name, you know? So like it really influenced so many people's lives. It's hard to touch exactly how massive of a brand it is, for sure. I think that's a good point. We should talk about that later, I think.
Yeah.
What are
Jay
your
had a thing you wanted to right off the rip start with something, right?
well, I
Yeah.
think
We're
that
gonna
was
do
after
first impressions.
like that's what I was thinking.
That's so
what I was
true.
trying, there was this thing that I was trying to do there, like trying to transition.
Yeah, no, I apologize. I am sick. I am very tired.
You know that
Let's
thing we've done every episode for 4 years?
You know what, Pete? I do. I am aware. Let's do first impressions.
All right, yeah, guys, let's talk about our first impressions for the girls golf anime. Miles, why don't you start?
Yeah, it wasn't Birdie Wing, so I gave it a 1. Yeah, so this movie, I was interested to see how much I would like it after, it's been almost
30 years, almost 30 years.
30 years. Fuck. And I've been watching with Cooper sometimes before bed. We watch some Pokemon together, and so I've gotten a sense of like how the anime would like hold up. And I have a pretty good time. It's, I mean, it's not, fucking Casablanca or anything, but I think it's a general fun time. It's definitely a show for kids. And this movie is definitely like a kid's movie, but I think it was, I had a good time nonetheless. I think that the nostalgia factor definitely helps. I think that it has like a nice message. There are some parts of it that are written in a way that I think is like kind of funny from a more adult standpoint that maybe I wouldn't have picked up when I was like 7, where they just sort of like say the plot and like some lady comes out of nowhere. You've never seen her before. You'll never see her again. She's like, one time the fucking Noah's Ark happened and then the Pokemon cried and the tears brought everyone back to life. And it's like, why is the harbor master talking about this? I don't know, but that mattered. That came back. It was a little circular. So I don't know. I had a good time. Would I recommend it? I think if this is something you've watched before, I don't think it's something that will be ruined by watching it again. I think it's a fun little nostalgia trip, and if you're like me, you have a kid, it's definitely something you can enjoy with your children together. That isn't watching Cars for the 700th time. Ka-chow. Those are my thoughts.
Cars, nice. Oh, God, I'm getting flashbacks to being explained to me the plot of Cars for 45 minutes like a month ago. Oh my God. Ka-chow, ka-chow, ka-chow. Cat, why don't you go?
Oh man! Shockingly, I am the only one out of us five that has not seen this movie. I was not a Pokemon kid growing up. I just really liked our
Ooh.
yeah. I was more into Hot Wheels accelerators, honestly.
Much more
But
fun.
yeah, probably why I'm a car head now. But I had a lot of fun with this anime. It is. I will agree. It's definitely not something that you normally that is inherently like super high quality, but it is definitely something that you can have fun with, regardless of whether you have nostalgia for it or not. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this to honestly pretty much everybody because it's not really a you don't have to be super into anime to know what Pokemon is, and this appeals to pretty much everybody in
Fair
one form
enough.
or another.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Jay, what about you?
Yeah, I had watched this pretty much when it first came out. I was a big Pokemon kid growing up. I started in like the second generation, I want to say, because I was a little too young to catch like the original generation. But yeah, I mean, this held up pretty well for me. I mean, I've seen this about a billion times at this point, like not recently, but throughout my childhood, more or less. And yeah, I mean, it's great. The music is pretty solid in it. The animation, I think, like while it's old, it's aged pretty well, especially like when like in terms of color palettes and stuff. It definitely still has that like very hand drawn feel to it that a lot of things from that time have, which if you listen to this podcast before when we review stuff from the 90s, that's always like the primary thing that I personally appreciate about 80s and 90s anime is the good like background art and colors used. And this is no exception to that. Would I recommend this for people? Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, this is a classic. I don't think you should go in expecting it to be like high cinema or anything like that, or anything like super heady, but like, it's pretty fun. And if you know somebody who was never really into Pokemon when they were younger, like Kat, I think that this would be like a pretty fun thing to show them to kind of like introduce them to that. Like, obviously, I know Kat knows a little bit about Pokemon nowadays, but like, I would be interested to see about somebody who just doesn't know about Pokemon at all watching this. Because I remember my mom used to love watching the Pokemon movies with me, and she just from the visuals, and she doesn't. I mean, she knows Pikachu and maybe like Charizard. That's it. So yeah, I would recommend this.
Yeah. I like your point about the animation. Like I don't know if like all of it holds up. It definitely like looks old, but I do agree completely that the color palettes and the hand drawn look and like a lot of like it has still really high peaks. Like in the animation. I like that comment. That's good. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be like 100% a nostalgia trip. This was the first movie I've ever cried to. This was the first movie I was ever invited by a friend to go to the movie theater with. So there's like a lot of like memories. Shout out to Vincent, invited me to this movie when I was 7. That's my homie right there. And I was blown away by this movie. I forgot. I'm like Jay. I've seen it once, and I have forgotten almost everything about this movie except for like towards the end. I didn't realize how funny this movie was. I didn't realize how ridiculous this movie was. This was, I'm gonna say it, fantastic. I would absolutely recommend it. I kind of wish I had a kid because this is 100% the first movie I would show to my kid. This was so much fun, like an absolute blast. If I was 7 to like or 4 to 8, something like that. I don't know, a kid range. I would love to showcase this movie to a kid. Fantastic. Recommend it to everybody. It was a blast. I don't know if the sub was as funny as the dub, but the dub was like low key one of the funniest things I've seen all year. So yes, 2 thumbs up from me.
I don't remember the dub at all from my watching of it. So yeah, obviously, like I said earlier, I watched this when I was a kid. but I'm sure it was funny because Brock's dub in particular, right, is hilarious. I have to say though, I watched this subbed with the intention of getting a new experience, and the the sub is really funny too. Like the quick like quips from Jesse and James and Meowth or Nyanchi, I believe is what his name is in
Yeah.
Japanese, was really quick and well timed, and they fired them out. I almost prefer Meowth's voice in the sub as well.
Nyansu.
Yansu, yeah, like his banter back and forth with the like the Meowth clone was good. Like it almost felt like a different way to watch Pokemon from the usual, the mouths move and like old animation where the mouth and the dubs didn't really try very hard to make them line up. I thought it was really interesting. It did annoy me when they started calling like Squirtle and Blastoise and Charizard freaking whatever they called them in the sub. It almost made me, it almost made me turn it off.
Lizard.
Because I was like,
Lizardon is Charizard. I know that one.
yes,
Yeah.
that one I remember. I can't even remember them off. Like Rhyhorn is like something horn instead. It's like it's just so weird. This is all, I guess, like this almost feels more like a closing thoughts than a first impressions. I'm sorry, but like I truly did have fun with it, and I would recommend it if you're trying to get someone into Pokemon or to just show them the general gist of it, or like Pete said, like if you had a child, this is a great thing to get them into Pokemon with. I don't think critically this movie really does a lot, but I also don't think it's like offensive in any way or bad. It's just kids movie. So, there's not much to do there. So yeah, I think that's 5 recommends right off the board, and a cat, 2 cats in frame right now for the audio
cats.
listeners.
Pete, you had one last point here.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I think you mentioned Pat with like the dialogue, or maybe it was Miles with like something that you catch on when you're like an adult and not a kid. I know my brother talks about this all the time with his kids when he watches Bluey, that they just like throw in like random adult things that the kids aren't gonna catch on. But like in the first instance where it's like Ash is just like being a lazy bum, and then some dude comes up and fight, and then Missy's like, "You got Dassy in this." She didn't say this, but she's like, "You got Dassy in this motherfucker. Like, you ain't gonna help me clean up, but you go fight this random punk." Like, I was like, it set the tone immediately, and I was hooked from the start. So, shout out to like the dialogue, because it's like it's not good, but it's super fun.
So in the sub, that dialogue was, "Oh, I'm so tired. I can't. I need to eat. I have no energy or whatever." And then the guy comes up to fight him, and he goes, "Oh, but I always have energy for a Pokemon battle." And it's like,
yeah, he basically says like, "I can't work," and then he goes to do a Pokemon battle, and Missy's like, "You just said you can't do any work." And he's like, "No, this is fun. Like, this is it." And that scene is like cool for a few reasons. So you get Dawn Fan in that scene, which is like, I think the 4th Johto Pokemon we get to see on screen. I remember being super excited that as a kid. So you see Ho in episode 1 of the anime. You see Togepi, as Misty has it as a Pokemon. And then before this movie, we didn't watch this, but there was a Pikachu's Vacation short mini film.
Oh, we should have had to watch that, man. Those were classics.
Meryl was in that.
Meryl, yeah.
Yes.
She's in the next one.
And then Dawn Fan is in this, and that was like, he just randomly has that, and I remember thinking that was like the coolest thing. Which was something.
Is that the one where Charizard gets stuck? Something.
I don't remember. I haven't seen them since I was 10.
They're bangers.
I didn't realize Meryl was Johto. It never occurred to me. I always thought it was Hoenn, just because that's where I actually encountered one. Like in Pokemon.
Okay, yeah. So I guess like general
Pokemon like that.
Yeah. So Meryl is only a 0.1% encounter in Dark Cave unless there's a swarm happening in Gold and Silver. It's a fun game.
I never played Gold and Silver anyway. My first Pokemon game, other than
all the Johto games are bad. Don't worry.
So,
You can
Kat,
on them.
they're great, but that's fine. Kat, you haven't seen anime, or how much Pokemon anime have you seen? Like,
You haven't seen
you haven't seen any anime.
I've been on this podcast for 4 years, but I'll be damned if I've watched one of
You
them.
just read the first notes and you spitball.
Yeah, it's you've done it. Honestly, you've been really impressed. I've been impressed with your ability to not but like still make points and stuff. However, I guess what I was saying is like, is this the first Pokemon anime experience you have, or is it you started later? I'm just curious.
So this is probably my first Pokemon anime experience that I've had that hasn't been tweeted like an American cartoon. So like every time I've seen Pokemon beforehand, it's always been, oh, it's Pokemon. I'm gonna watch this for 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna watch Chowder or whatever the fuck, you know. So this is the first time I've actually been like, oh, okay, I'm gonna sit down and watch Pokemon, and I actually got the story of Pokemon instead of, you know, oh, a bunch of cool monsters that I don't know the name of. Oh, that's Charizard. Oh, I know Pikachu. Pikachu's in the zeitgeist of American culture. Yeah, that type of thing.
Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna ask, like, what was, I guess, like, people who wouldn't have any nostalgia for this, like, the first scene is just throws you into something for no reason. It is, it means nothing, but it's neat, and it's neat if you like Pokemon. But like, if you don't, I'm curious how that would be. You know what I mean? So like, what was your thoughts there on that first scene? And I guess Pete too, because you've seen this before, but you're not really a Pokemon guy. So like, I want your thoughts after Cats.
So like for me, it was like, so this is how a Pokemon battle goes in the show. Like, because I've played Soul Silver.
Okay.
But that's probably that, and I think I played I played Scarlet Violet, I think.
Most recent ones?
No, one of the most recent ones. It was
was it Sun and Moon? Because you like Litten?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't think it was. Oh no, it was 3D. So yeah,
or Legends Arceus maybe.
Legends Arceus, I think it was. Yeah,
Legends Arceus is a banger. Good choice.
So the thing about like watching it and be like, oh, so that's interesting. Oh, so that's how that works. It's like, I feel like if I had never seen Pokemon, or if I like have just intentionally have ignored Pokemon, like this would probably be like, huh, well, that's cool. It's like a shonen anime. It's like a battle shonen.
In fact, it's very similar.
It's a battle shonen. But like that's probably how I would feel if I didn't know anything about Pokemon. But like, yeah, it's pretty fun, but it's like, I definitely wouldn't want to watch like several, like tens of seasons of this, you know?
All right, well, too bad. That's winning our next one, is all of Pokemon, every single episode. Pete, what were your thoughts there? So you said you had forgotten a lot about this. Have you played any of the Pokemon games?
Red.
Okay, cool.
Pokemon TCG Pocket.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely don't overanalyze this movie, because like, even though I don't know shit about Pokemon, Squirtle beat like a champ with a bubble. I was like, all right, this is
Pikachu thunderbolts a golem. It's immune to electricity.
Like I don't know what weaknesses or strengths or whatever in Pokemon, but I know that shouldn't work. Like, so it's like, I was like, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It's for 7-year-olds, and it was fun. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not here for the immense world building. I'm here for Minnesota Viking jokes and Ash punching Pokemon. Like, it was fun. Like, it doesn't matter.
Wait, so it wasn't just a Viking joke? It was a Minnesota Viking.
They say Minnesota Vikings in the dub.
Yeah, well, they say Vikings mostly live in Minnesota now, I think, is the yes.
Yeah. So
yeah. I'm just saying they don't, for clarification, because I don't know what the sub joke is. They don't literally say Minnesota Vikings. It is a Minnesota Viking joke, so you're correct. But since we were translating between the two.
Okay. No, that's a I get where you're coming. I do think they actually make the same joke in
I'm jumping out a window. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Just trying to help clarify for Pat.
Yeah, like come on. But yeah, all right. I guess we kind of jumped the gun here in some way, but those are our first impressions still at the end of the day, especially the question related to Kat and Pete there. So yeah, let's jump into our spoiler heavy. Watch out for spoilers going forward on the Pokemon movie 01. Mewtwo Strikes Back. Jay, you had the first talking point that you wanted to lead us off.
Okay. I'm actually going to make 2 talking points because I want to get this in there, but I didn't want to like be a dickhead and interrupt at some point. I think that this would be if aliens like kidnapped you and were like, show us a movie to convince us not to blow up the planet. I think that this would be a great one to do that with. If it was like specifically like an anime movie or something, like or if they were like, we're going to erase the concept of anime unless you show us a great film. Like I think that this would be one where they would just have a good time, be like, all right, you're good. Like
The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage.
The bee.
yeah. Yeah. But I was thinking about what the like kind of whole like greater message of this movie is, and I think I've come up with it. So they create the strongest Pokemon right at the beginning, right? They say it. And Mewtwo is basically a god with what he can do. Like he has got the ability to manipulate the weather just by going like this with his hand, like little hand. He can speak telekinetically to like every or telepathically to like every trainer in the world at once. He can like turn people into like mindless slaves. He can create life from nothing. That like all the technology he's able to understand, that sort of thing. And then the trainers are just like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna go square up. I think that the premise of this movie is that if God is real and alive, then we have an obligation to either kill him or enslave him. What are your thoughts?
That's just the Bible.
That makes Pikachu Jesus too, right? Because like Pikachu just
It
turns the
makes
other cheek.
Mewtwo Jesus.
No, Pikachu turns the other cheek like constantly. He's getting slapped
Okay,
up.
sorry. Yeah, okay. Mewtwo is Jesus from Passion of the Christ to Crucify This.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, I think that the only issue with that possible theming is that God invites them to fight specifically. So God wasn't really hunted in this case as much as he saw what he hath created and frowned and threw down the gauntlet and was like, I want to do this again. Let's see if we can improve on all. I'm going to make Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, if God wasn't a coward IRL, then he would do that. But he hides in his little cloud because he's scared of me.
That's also the message of Spy Kids 2.
Shout out Socks. I love this one.
Yeah. That's I don't know. I mean, I will say, like, I guess to completely subvert the joke you're making, the point of this is like kind of nice, right? Like it is a good little message for a kids movie about, you know, not judging groups like blanketly, not fighting without trying to understand each other first and everything. Like I think there's some value in all of that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves the like, you know, Mewtwo's big speech where he says like the circumstances of your birth don't matter. You know, I would probably also think the circumstances of my birth didn't matter if I was born a genetically perfect monster capable of creating life from nothing, from birth, having a high tier understanding of my own psychic powers just from the get go. I would probably also think that the circumstances of someone's birth didn't matter at all, specifically my own, not judging other people, but you know.
I have to mention that's a dub only thing as well. I triple checked that line was not, or that whole like circumstances of your like that line was not even close to that in the dub, or rather in the sub. In the sub, he kind of just goes, "Oh, I realize some." Like it was so bland. It was like completely different. It's like so bland that I'm forgetting it. Like that's how bad it was. Well, not bad, but you know what I mean. Like different it was. Like I went back and re-listened to it. I could probably pull it up. And find it.
Like The Errors of My Ways or something like that. Because I
Yeah,
also watched it.
something like that. It was so like not as sick as what the dub did in any way. It was
Right.
and Mew is just sitting there like nodding along, like yeah, you're a bit of a
In the
dummy.
Japanese version, Mew says to Mewtwo that he is superior to him and that the clone should be wiped from existence.
It was-
Does it?
Yes.
That's a completely different movie.
Yeah.
That's
It
a different
is.
vibe.
That's crazy. Oh my god. I have to digest that.
all right, digest it while I ask. The first like 20 minutes of this movie are really chaotic, are they not? Like I remember I was like, I don't even remember these first 20 minutes with like the like well, I remember him bursting out of the the what's it goddamn called from Star Wars? The Baptic tank? No.
Oh yeah, okay.
But like that I remember that
Carbonite
part.
thing or whatever. Oh no, you're thinking of the thing Luke's in, and
Yeah, the
Yeah.
healing thing. Like he bursts out of that. I remember that. I don't remember the freaking floating around with other AI or like brain, recreations or consciousnesses. I don't remember that at all. I don't remember little baby Mewtwo. I don't remember. I didn't. I should say I didn't
Baby
remember any of that.
Mewtwo.
It was what it was, right? Like it was a little baby Mewtwo.
I'm imagining the rapper, Lil Baby.
Yeah.
as Mewtwo.
Oh no!
That should be in our thumbnail. Yeah, that would be really funny, especially out of context. Might be racist. Maybe we don't do that.
Has makes it. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you got me there. Yeah.
I'll put my
Has his
stamp of
black.
approval.
Yeah.
The baby.
Okay.
Oh no,
Thanks,
it's Lil
Kat.
Baby.
No, not Dub Baby.
Sorry, wrong baby.
Wrong baby.
I mean,
rapper.
Little Baby
the
is the one
baby
that
would be
people
pretty
like.
funny. The baby is Mewtwo. I don't know why I'm laughing so much, but man.
Because of the baby car.
But yeah, so like that first part of the movie is like kind of dark, is it not? You guys like feel the same way I did. It was so dark, and then like everyone just dies, and Mewtwo's like, well, time to end humanity. Like it was very just different from the tone that I remember the movie having, at least initially. I don't know. How did you guys feel? I guess, and here's the thing too, like I saw the movie when I was so little that I barely remember it, versus you guys were like 20 at that time, right? Like you're
Yeah,
that old,
100%.
Yep. So I don't know, maybe I'm just too young for nostalgia there, but I don't know, I was reading something about it too, not being part of the original theatrical release, but then when it got re-released in theaters.
I remember it being, I mean, I remembered him being made in the lab. I remember him training with Giovanni. I remember all of that stuff, right? Because that stuff becomes like relatively integral to like Kanto Pokemon lore with like Mr. Fuji and everything. So I don't know. I mean, I remembered the sort of tone that it would have. That professor who clones him is Mr. Fuji.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't get that from the movie.
His name was Professor Fuji.
They said it in the subtitle.
I thought he was just a random character that gets killed off. Fair enough. And also, I just forget that he was in. I haven't played Pokemon Red in so long, Fire Red in so long.
I just remember him saying "I" every single time.
Yeah, that
he
too.
was on screen.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess like it had about the tone that I remembered it having, but I was also like a massive fan of it as a child, and so did a lot of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Pete, you said you didn't remember anything. So
No, I mean, I was
Okay.
watching. I was like, oh, this is just Astro Boy gone wrong. I was like, oh, like this is lit. Like I completely, I remember like how Mewtwo was created. I was like, oh, he's a clone of Mew. Oh, that's how he got his name. Like that's how out of touch I am with Pokemon. So yeah, this is a big refresher for my old brain.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I grew up playing Pokemon more than I did watching it. I don't know. I just never was able to get it on my TV. Like I guess I just got home from school too late or something. I don't know.
Saturday mornings on CW 10:30.
Oh, I was always playing sports because I'm not a fucking nerd during that time. I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I probably was always playing sports during Saturday mornings. It's like the prime time, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's called a
So, yeah, that's-
VCR record. If you were a real one, you would have done it.
You would have recorded.
I would have
Pokemon
bought
on your VCR.
I
did
would
that
have bought
100%.
a VCR for my family at 6 years old. What were you out there doing, Pat?
I
You
did
weren't
it.
making any money for the family. Yeah, no, I wish we had the VHS tapes or whatever, right? Used to record with those. I probably do have one Pokemon movie on VHS over here behind.
Do you remember like
Um,
the Saturday lineup that they had for people who watched it like regular? Let me ask, did anybody watch it regularly on like Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I-
Because you
I-
remember it was like fighting Foodons into like
Yes.
Monster Rancher or whatever it's called, into Pokemon,
I remember Monster Rancher.
into
Ultimate
Yu-Gi-Oh or something like that.
Yes.
It was
They
like
had
it
Ultimate-
was
I do
stacked.
remember watching a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Absolutely.
They had
I-
Ultimate Muscle /
Yeah,
Kabuki
Ultimate
Man
Muscle,
in there.
yes.
Yeah.
Depending when you were doing it, Metabots would be on it around that
Metabots,
time. Digimon used to be on it
Yep.
around that time too.
Yeah.
Just slammer.
I watched Digimon more than I watched Pokemon at
Same.
that point in time.
Banger after
I also-
banger
I
after
also hate to
banger.
admit that I also watched more Code Lyoko than I did Pokemon.
Oh my god, that just was a fucking flashback and a half.
Code Lyoko was also for me because it was on at like 4 p.m. So I'd get home from
Right.
school and be able to watch
Oh
it.
my-
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd get home
God,
for baseball
Jesus
and watch it.
Christ. I had completely partitioned this from my memory, and it's going right back.
I wish I didn't remember it. Honestly, Code Lyoko is like anime Caillou for me.
The
Yeah,
German
well, they-
show, right? Something like
French.
that?
And
Yeah.
That's why
um,
you like Radiant so much, Kat.
I don't like it that
out.
I like Radiant a lot. I don't like Code Lyoko. They're not the same.
I don't like Code Lyoko anymore. I've learned where its origin is. That's too bad.
Jay, what did you think about the initial tone? Was it darker than you remembered?
No, not really. I mean, like, to be honest with you, like, I think that I was reading into some of the differences between the Japanese, like the dub and the sub for Pokemon, and like, it's basically a completely different movie because 4Kids wanted to Americanize it. And that's why
Interesting.
Mew is considered like cute in this version, whereas like in the Japanese version, Mew just thinks all the clones are inferior and need to be wiped out, basically. And Mewtwo is less of a supervillain in the sub. He's more of just a confused Pokemon that wants to find out what's going on. I'll
That's
send
how
you the source that I'm reading in the chat.
Yeah, because that's how it starts out. Like he like I don't know if you guys if it's the same in dub, but like that first like 20-30 minutes, he doesn't have like an evil bone in him. He's just confused, and then he gets kind of angry that he gets abused by Giovanni, obviously, and then like goes from like being kind of angry to just full on like murder, or not murder, but like I'm gonna get revenge against humanity. Like kind of not out of nowhere, because obviously again it's implied it's implied he suffered a lot of abuse, but I just don't remember. Like it felt like a very jarring switch. I don't know. And it's not to say that like kids shows can't have darker themes or things that happen in them by any means. I just remember being like, damn, like these consciousnesses are self-aware and then they fade away to death, like it's kind of sad, like very sad.
From my point of view, like at the beginning when we're looking at Mewtwo, because I also watched stuff, there was he seemed confused at first, and then when they didn't really answer his question and just were kind of confused about his question about like who is my mother, who is my father, who created me, it was a god, like they weren't answering, and he just got more and more angry, from like more and more frustrated, like he was a child that was trying to understand the world around him and got frustrated when nothing was answering it clearly. And like I feel like at that point that was kind of like a different type of evil that was like inside of it, or not necessarily inside of him, but like there was a different type of evil that was showing itself, and it's kind of like that evil that you get when you're babysitting a 2-year-old. So that's moral of the story is that 2-year-olds are horrible, horrible people.
Fair enough. Yeah, we don't like
Okay.
2-year-olds around here, apparently. Like, I don't
That
know what
was-
to say to that. You know, Miles, what are your thoughts on 2-year-olds?
Yeah, I can't say I'm a big fan currently. I think that they sort of keep me up a lot at night and also pee on me. It's just not great.
That's tough. Yeah, I do that to myself.
Yo,
So, all right.
yo,
Like, what the
this is an anime podcast.
No,
Chill.
I don't know what's going on in my brain, too. I think
those
I've had a
long
long
smite-
day.
Those long smite sessions, sometimes you just can't get off. I get you, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, if the game's going, and team's not pausing, you know, it's
You're
and
cl-
then it
you were born with the clutch gene, not the go to the bathroom in the toilet gene. I understand.
got me there. I just need my my piss bucket or whatever. What was that from the Battlefield Friends or whatever? The
A catheter?
no,
Oh.
no, that's the real life application, but I don't know. And maybe that was too niche of a reference. Never mind. I'll
Oil
go back to
changes? No.
What?
Okay. Sorry.
No,
That's like
no,
very
no.
niche.
go back to your corner of the internet. I'll go back to mine, but then we come back to this Pokemon corner and talk about this show a little bit more than what we have, I think, then. Which
Right, what
fair.
I find interesting is that this is like basically the first thing where some of us have watched a dub and some of us have watched a sub, and it is like caused confusion. It was Pokemon the first movie. That's what did it. That was finally.
But it actually matters too, though, because like you said, like what Jay shared that link. Maybe Trent can put in the description. It does matter. It changes the movie a lot. It seems like I think I thought it would have just been like the jokes might have been more localized or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Brock is a little more creepy, by the way.
He's so
in the
down
sub.
bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
He's and
Oh,
like he's in the American one, he's down bad from what I remember. In this one, he's
So
like
down bad.
actually like pervertedly
He's like
weird. He's
Yeah.
criminal.
like he says like
The first time he meets Nurse Joy, as she's like being mind controlled, she's like, "Who is that potty?" Like, it's like, bro.
Oh, well, that's in this too. I mean,
he recognizes. He's like, wait, she's familiar. She looks familiar, and it's like,
yeah, that's
how
in here
can you-
too.
she looks
it was
like
so.
you-
I thought it was so funny.
that was funny, but but at the end of the movie in particular, he's like, oh man, the Nurse Joy and the Officer Jenny and the boat captain, whatever she was, I guess harbor head, whatever. They're all just dolls, or like they're all just so cute. Like, how can they all be so cute? Like, it's just something like that, like an old man at a park would say, not like, you know, a
12-year-old boy.
protagonist, a 12-year-old. Well, he's a
Brock
little older.
is like
isn't he?
18 or
Yeah,
something.
he's-
Oh,
Yeah.
is he? Oh,
He's older,
I just
yeah.
assumed he was a kid.
No,
That might
he's
make it
older.
worse.
Well, they're all working adults, so maybe it makes it a little bit better. But I don't know.
Brock
yeah,
is 15.
Okay.
15, sorry. But he's older than like Misty and Ashar, who are
And he's
13 or whatever.
he's thrown into the, you know, he has like to take care of his kids or his younger siblings because his dad is Koga. No,
No, his dad's name is Flint. He sells rocks.
that's what he is. Yeah, sorry.
Really,
Really, he sells rocks. He sells. His name is Flint,
Yeah.
and he sells rocks.
I have
Sells
He-
rock at its sock.
you having no Pokemon knowledge and Miles just laying on me, dude. Pokemon is fucking brilliant.
It is.
Pokemon is the funniest anime I've ever seen.
I would
It
love to
has
watch
a
it.
lot of
His name
like
is Flint.
genuinely. Yeah, his name is Flint. And he has a son named Brock. He left his family to sell rocks.
That's literally what he does. Yeah, because they have the
Oh.
and he's in Pewter City, right? Isn't that the?
Yeah, he's in Pewter City, and he takes the time to help Ash train, even though he's a fucking deadbeat.
No.
It's like,
I don't
It's
know
really
what other
bad.
anime came out in '98. This is anime of the year '98, 100%. It wins every award. It wins everything. This is brilliant shit.
well, oh wait, Pete, if you watch the remake of this or like the next Mewtwo movie or whatever, Brock says, "I took this frying pan and turned it into a drying pan," and then he puts it over his head.
Bro,
Um,
He also calls a nori roll jelly donut.
Yeah, they do call them donuts as part of the localization.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this, give him a raise, double it, and then cut it in half. This is really genius.
He got fired from 4Kids.
No,
That's
he
cool.
runs 4Kids now.
No, he was the former one.
It's funny to me because like we're talking about this Pokemon movie as being so nostalgic, and it got me thinking more about my experience with and I think that the reason we're not talking specifically about the movie so much is because there really isn't a lot of depth or like nuance to what happens, but like there's so little nuance to it that it's like I feel like just this is a good conversation about the movie too. But anyways, like my nostalgic movie for me at least, maybe it's why I'm biased towards Lucario as well, but the Lucario movie was like the movie I went to see in theater, movie that I remember getting really excited and hyped up about. I'm thinking more about it and it's like it's almost the same plot in terms of the movie. Like maybe it's just like the nature of kids movies, but I don't know, I'd be curious to hear like what is your most nuanced take on this movie? Let's do that. I don't know. What would you guys have? Anybody?
Most nuanced?
Yeah, I have not nuanced takes on this. Like when I guess like I can go later because like the climax when Ash just tries to punch Mewtwo, I think is
So good.
that is like something I did not remember and I thought was absolutely fucking insane. Like I knew he got turned to stone, but like you know, I don't know. At the end of the day, maybe someone could find some nuance here. I'm reading through these changes, and like maybe there's more nuance with Mew being some sort of supremacist, but I don't know. It was just sort of like a fun thing. Like as you said, we're not talking about the plot a lot because they go to the island. Mewtwo shows off his powerful clones. They fight each other, and then at the end of the day, they learn about friendship through Ash's sacrifice, and like that's the whole movie.
And they cry him back to life, literally, which is so silly.
It is foreshadowed.
It is. It is. It is. One thing my nuanced take on this, Mewtwo went through all the trouble of putting like a battlefield out there, but then his original plan wasn't even to make them battle, right? It was just to abduct the Pokemon and then like use them to make clones. Like he calls the trainers there for a battle, which of course is like the red herring to get them there, or the bait or the trap. But then he shows them the battlefield, says, "Oh," and everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna Pokemon battle there." And then he's like, "No, I'm just going to deploy a bunch of Pokeballs and steal your Pokemon." And that's what he does. So it's like, why did he go through the trouble of building the arena if they weren't going to fight on it? They do end up fighting on it too after they get broken out or whatever. But like, why did he build it in the first place? You know,
he wanted to make the clones fight the originals, from what I understand, the whole time. The trainers, he didn't really care about the trainers in the original movie.
Yeah.
The trainers were a means to an end to get DNA to make the clones, so the clones could fight the originals. Because they don't mention this in the dub, but in the sub, they mention that you only need like 3 hairs to make a clone.
Yeah,
So you don't need to like kill the Pokemon to make clones. Obviously, you don't, because we saw that. But like, it's just to get the clones to fight, because he wants to fight Mew himself to see if he is stronger than Mew and thus more worthy of living and having a purpose in life.
Yeah. It wasn't just that they mentioned it, is that like Meowth lost 3 of his hairs and it became the other Meowth.
Yeah, I don't know. That is yeah, but I do think the battlefield's there to like. I think probably in Mewtwo's mind, he imagined sort of more of like a one-on-one, like Charizard clone fights Charizard, as opposed to like everyone all of a sudden just starts fighting at once. Like what happened? Like it was just like a fucking melee there for a minute, and then like they all died too. They all got like really tired, and Pikachu rocketed his way to victory. Just by taking hits to the face and having an insane amount of stamina, which I thought was
turn
funny.
the other cheek. Just turn the other cheek
every
over
time.
and over again.
Just until the other Pikachu fainted from hitting him so much.
Well, the other Pikachu used struggle and then he won. Yeah. Good reference, Pat. That was a good one. Thanks, Pat. How does this have a 7.66 on Mal? I mean, I guess I answered my own question with like it's
Nostalgia.
but
I'll tell
like,
you why when we get to our rating.
oh god.
You're muted.
Yeah, Pete. I wanted to hear about this though, because like, what did you like love about this movie? Like, if like, it's let's hear it.
So I'm just a fan of shows that don't try to be something it's not, and they set the tone of what it's presenting immediately. This movie, sorry, did not try to be Spirited Away. It did not try to be, it's not trying to be Toy Story or something like that. Like, it's not trying to be like these juggernaut child like movies. It's just trying to have fun. And it did that the entire film. Like, I was never bored. The only question I had was when they were getting to the island and there was like 32 minutes left in the movie. I'm like, how the fuck are they gonna wrap this up? Like pacing aside, like I was just entranced the entire film. Like it was, I felt like I was doing drugs a little bit, just a little
When
bit
they
of
got
drugs.
to the
Not a lot of
island, there
drugs.
was only 30 minutes left in the movie. That's
Yes.
how fast the rest of that happened.
Yeah, it's like
Jesus Christ.
I think when they get on the boat, it's like at like the 1 minute or something like that. It's something
It took
nuts.
it took them 25 minutes just to get to showing Ash, like after the whole Mewtwo opening sequence and everything else. Like that first battle is after the first like 25 minutes or 30 minutes of the movie.
Mhm.
It's very interestingly paced. Like there's only like 3 sets technically. I guess 4 if you include them on the boat. Which by the way, Meowth being like the front piece is so fucking funny. The whatever they call that, the wearing like the full like siren garb or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so funny. They really did a lot of good physical humor in this movie, I think, which not always the case in anime, I feel like,
I do have to say, I thought it was kind of morbidly funny when we spent like what 20 minutes or at least 15 minutes hearing the professor go I over and over again, only for him to die like a dog. Like that's just wow. Like that feels like, oh yeah, you get caught up in your obsession, and all of a sudden you lose everything because you created a monster.
Yeah, getting mauled to death by an animal would suck. I agree, Kat.
Great nuance take there, Jay.
But Jay has had some top tier takes on this whole thing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this movie's really fun, Jay. You should fight God. I'm like, oh my god, I did not get that at all.
we should kill God.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I said we could kill and or enslave him.
True.
True.
My apologies. There was a second part that I left out. I was too busy laughing at Psyduck slapping the other Psyduck.
They both like freak out or whatever.
They both get headaches. It's like, oh my god, this is Martin Scorsese like wrote a movie after like this is act. I wish I could write this.
I have some good news, Pete. You probably could have.
Yeah. This is I finally found the Lucario movie I've been looking. Pokemon movie 8. Lucario and the Mystery of. I remember Ash had like the most. Did it fade out?
It cut out after the mystery. The mystery of
Mew.
Oh,
yes.
I thought it was the mystery of Aura for some reason. I was.
Here, I'll link it. Trent, I love editing. Trent, why don't you put up the poster from Mal? You can see how absolutely dripped out Ash and Pikachu are on the poster, along with the main like extra helper. That movie is the one that I was talking about earlier. That's like just nostalgic as hell for me. I went as Lucario for Halloween that year. Like that's how
you were calling me a
we're-
nerd earlier, and the audacity. I'm pulling a miss you right now. The audacity.
I was
of
7.
this guy.
I was 7 years old. Yeah, I dressed up as a Pokemon. It was
God.
sick. I loved it.
Also, this is the one where the beginning of it is literally showing people going to war with Pokemon.
Yes.
Like using
Yeah.
them as weapons of war.
Yes.
This is 5 Pokemon movies too far from one. The last one I watched was the Entei one, which was 3.
That's a good one too. I remember that one.
The Rayquaza one's really good. I remember that. Deoxys. Yeah.
But yeah, this one's like all about like this like learning to use or like this is literally about aura maxing. And it was way ahead of its time. It was 20 years ahead of its time, I gotta say. Man, I kind of want to watch this now. Oh man,
I do too, honestly. I love Lucario.
We can nominate it next time. Yeah, we can go from Pokemon movie 1 to Pokemon movie 8, and honestly, it won't
Won't
Same
matter.
shit.
What if we all
This-
just nominate a Pokemon movie next time?
Sure thing.
Misty gets replaced by the much superior
It's gonna be
May.
no, it's not May. It's 4.
May.
No,
It's
it's
May.
Lucario.
It's
Oh,
May, buddy.
Dawn,
It's
Dawn.
May,
Not
it's
Dawn?
May, buddy. It's May. I promise you. I'm
Are
not
you
kidding.
sure? Okay.
No,
Yes.
it's so they used to do a thing in the Pokemon movies where a lot of the times the movies would be a generation ahead of where we were at in the States.
Okay.
But it doesn't make
And
sense.
yes,
that
it
would
is.
be back-
It is May or Haruka.
Yes, Haruka, the princess of Hoenn, is the main, other than Lucario. and the
Yeah,
stupid
that sure is
little
May.
child. Yeah, it is.
That's pretty crazy. Look at that. Should be
Good
Dawn.
movie.
Dawn's way fucking better. Okay.
Which one would you date, Miles? Since you're so curious about this,
They're children,
Gosh.
so I
Nurse
wouldn't
Joy.
date any of them.
Good answer, Jay. Right answer, Jay. Thank you.
That's,
Thank you,
I
Jay.
could say Nurse Joy. That's fine. Nurse Joy's an adult.
Yeah, she has a job.
Yeah.
No Officer
Not
Jenny love?
that the children don't in this universe, but you know, they like all do. Jay, you wanted to talk about the iconic Mewtwo line, which is a lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie. Yeah. Let me pull up the dub again. Or
I
the sub.
I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are. Can we
Talk
just
about
talk
how
about the fact that Mewtwo was saying this after he like lured a bunch of children onto his island to steal their shit, and in the dub was going to kill the entire planet? Like, so I don't know. Mewtwo's just a hypocrite. Do you guys agree? Yes or no? Like, I fuck
So
with him. Don't get me
is-
wrong. But
okay, well, I'll say he's not a hypocrite because he says, "I see now," right? So he's acknowledging that he was the big old dum dum before.
oh, so he's being Christian about it. Like he's accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, and so his
Himself,
sins have been
yeah.
washed away
Or
clean.
Pikachu.
Yeah.
Or Ash. Ash comes back to life. There's
He
a lot
didn't
of
die. He didn't die is the thing.
oh.
They talk about that on that page as well. In all the source books in the original Japanese, they just say he got turned to stone and then came back, but didn't actually die.
You guys want to hear the regular line?
Yeah. Okay. What's the Japanese line?
Yeah.
It is like I see now, or you and I are Pokemon that already exist in this world, and Mew kind of nods at him. It says it may be for the best that nobody knows of this incident, and that's it. Like that's literally all. And then they like memory. They Men in Black.
Oh, that does,
everybody.
yeah, he does that too. He does memory wipe everyone in the dub, but it's after that line.
After that, line, exactly. There's no line of that in the sub at all. It's just not there. Like there's not enough voice lines either. It's not like the sub I'm watching is like faulty or anything. Like it literally just there's no talking.
What's cool about Mewtwo is his mouth never moves, so you can just make him say whatever the fuck you want if you have the rights to the dub.
Legalize nuclear bombs.
He made a mushroom cloud at one point, so
He
he'd
did.
probably be cool with it.
Awesome speech, Your
Yeah.
Holiness. Great. So many
I
great
gotta
ones.
say, like, I don't know if this is just my bias or whatever, but like, why does Ash sacrificing himself make him realize that he and Mew are both just Pokemon?
I have no idea.
Like why did he come to that realization in the sub? Because like in this, he's like, oh, like the human isn't bad. I see that like this is good. Like, your way of living is fine. Like, I'm gonna go be by myself, but like, it's chill that you guys do this.
Yeah, so I guess I can answer. In the sub, it didn't really feel like it was like they do say that, oh, he wanted to create clones of Pokemon that are stronger and faster or whatever and prove that he was doing it. But like in the sub, it felt a lot more like he was just like I don't know, like the what you guys are saying, like the whole circumstances of a birth or whatever, like and like it didn't feel as like motivated by what Ash did as much as it was just seeing all the Pokemon come together to like care about a human being. It felt more like it was
Okay.
humans versus Pokemon in his eyes in the sub than it did at least in the dub. Like he almost like well he's cloning Pokemon to like create an army. I'm pretty sure is his idea here. I'm pretty sure to like to wipe out the humans or to take out the humans. He kind of like hints at that or that he wants like he feels that Pokemon are all subservient trainers and that it doesn't go the other way. You know that like that it was so hard to follow. Like again, the dub maybe the dub spells it out more clearly into like language that's easier for me as an English speaking American to understand. Maybe that's like the whole purpose of it. But I did the this is maybe why I came off more cynically though than maybe some of us did, other than my natural tendency to be cynical. The plot didn't make any sense in the sub at all. and the motivations of Mewtwo made no sense through most of the movie. And his realization makes no sense at the end as well in the sub. Maybe they filtered some of the more darker themes for like just the theatrical release to make it a little more kid friendly. Because I know isn't the Pokemon manga like insane?
Well,
Yeah.
It's pretty
but
crazy.
it's different. Like, even the like, I mean, the Elite Four all like commit genocide in it. It's like,
That's what I'm saying. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. So like, is the original thought for Pokemon somewhere in the middle between baby mode, this, and genociding Elite Four members, and like, is that where it was meant to be? And that's why this movie ended up more towards the baby mode instead of the manga. You know, like, is that maybe what happened? I just I don't know. Maybe
But, yeah.
maybe I just kind of was distracted by looking at all the cool Pokemon and old art in this one when I should have been paying attention to the subtitles more. Who knows? We'll never know.
Well, I'll nominate it again. Okay. Do we have anything else we want to discuss, or do we want to final thoughts this?
Mew is a little shit in this movie, isn't he? He's at least
Yeah.
in
Well,
the,
we didn't get that from the dub, and he's just a cute little cat who likes peace in the dub.
yeah.
That's-
Well, he's just like an antic. He's up to like just antics throughout the movie. It's not
It
even
is
that
fun
he
when
like
he's
kicks
like
aside.
floating behind people and stuff, and like
Yeah.
teasing them and everything.
He's a troll. He's a troll, and it's fun.
Mew's a really cool Pokemon.
He is very, very cool. I also, yeah, again, Jesse James and Meowth or Nyarthu. I can't do it. The three of them, their dialogue back and forth was quality throughout. Like they really, really, really funny. I love Pokemon, man. Pokemon is so sick. Can we actually just do Pokemon for like the next like 10 weeks? Like that would be so much fun.
The next 10 weeks will we have a previously scheduled thing. But we'll watch the
We'll just overwrite
Lucario,
that.
the
Like,
Pokemon
want
movie
it.
8.
If people want, they can vote
yeah,
for it.
if people want it, they should vote for it, and you get wonderful conversations like this that totally were all about the anime that we watched. Yeah, I guess we move on to closing thoughts. So Miles, what were your closing thoughts and final score for Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back?
Yeah, I had a fun time. I gave this an 8. There's some like nostalgia for sure. However, it's what I'm nostalgic for. What do you do? Quick trivia question for everyone. There were 4 possible promo cards you could get when you went to Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, in theaters. I guess exactly Pete might know this.
I was to say none of us were alive for that. That's not fair, but fair enough. Go ahead.
Pikachu.
You could get a Pikachu.
Portal.
No.
Poly,
Fucking idiot.
It's Poliwhirl or Wrath, one of the two, as one of them. I know that.
It isn't.
Clefairy.
No. It was you get a Mewtwo. You could get
Oh, you
a
have
Dragonite.
Okay.
You could get the Pikachu, as you mentioned. The Dragonite has the satchel on it too from the movie.
Oh, that's cute.
Wait, can I get the final guess here?
Yeah.
Just think it would. So if it's in theme with that,
It's not. It's completely random. I don't even know if it's in the fucking.
Sorry,
movie.
I was thinking of the gold cards they had. There was a Poliwhirl for that.
Yes, from Burger King.
Yeah, dude,
Yes.
remember the Pokeballs you get?
Yes. I had a
lit.
Mewtwo and a Poliwhirl from that one. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I don't know why there was a Poliwhirl though. It's such a random.
Poliwhirl, they've tried to push Poliwhirl really hard as a mascot.
Why?
Because he's Poliwhirl. He fucking rocks.
He's a middle stage. I don't know. It seems random.
Is the final Pokemon Flying Pikachu?
No.
Damn.
It's actually Agumon from Digimon. Crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. No, it is Electabuzz for some reason.
Electabuzz is the flying wasp, the lightning wasp.
Nope, it's just a cat thing. It's like an electric cat cheetah. It's
Chubby.
Oh no,
Yeah,
there is one, isn't it? It's the one that Giovanni has right next to him, right?
Oh, yeah.
No,
that's a Persian, dude.
That's Persian.
Oh.
That's a cat.
Oh, the creator of the Pokemon franchise, his favorite Pokemon is Poliwhirl, by the way. That's why.
Oh, and who's Gengar's favorite Pokemon? I thought that was like that must be another Ken Sugimori or something.
Yeah. But Satoshi Tajiri, I believe, is the creator, and his favorite's Poliwhirl.
Okay. Anyways, that's my final thoughts. My final thoughts were trivia question about which 4 promo cards you could have gotten.
And you only own one of them?
I only own one of them.
It's too bad.
Yep.
Not
Are you
a
gonna
fake
go on a
fan.
crusade to find the other 3?
Okay,
Or
well,
guess.
back out the window I go.
It has to be worth way more money. Not even.
No, there were so many of them.
A
So,
grade
like-
10 Electabuzz is only $98.
Yeah, that's because it's a fucking Electabuzz. Look up the grade 10 Dragonite or Mewtwo. But there's also, they're not expensive, like, just to buy. Like, I bought the Mewtwo a couple months ago for like $14.
Grade 10 Dragonite, $343. Still not
There
as
we
much
go.
as I thought it would.
343 grand?
No,
Or-
No,
dollars.
$343. There's so many of them.
I guess
Like,
so.
think about how many people went to that movie, and like, you can still buy steeled ones. I actually have
like a grade 10. Oh man, fuck it.
somewhere. I don't know. I have like a strip of film from this movie that I got in like a thing. Like, this movie was fucking everywhere. It was insane. Yeah, it was.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Pokemon, man. Hell yeah. All right. Kat, what about you?
Yeah, this. We're at the final thoughts. I forgot about it. We were talking about random stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. One thing I will say is that the music just felt really, really atmospheric, except for the one time where they first started the Pokeballs go, like Mewtwo's Pokeballs going after all the other Pokemon, and it was like kind of like, oh, this is a fun little thing when everybody's really getting traumatized. And there were some times where the music just kind of fell off. But
There's a music question I need to ask. So during the clone scene, the fight when they're fighting each other, when they first start fighting each other, this sort of like, I don't know, like light R&B song comes on about like brother, my brother.
Put my hands
And
up.
like, what do they play in the sub?
they play like orchestral like battle music.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
we get some like, I don't know, Boys to Men knockoff singing about like fighting each other and like how that's bad.
What about the ending theme? What did you guys get? Because we got some random like Japanese song where they're singing like la 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 la, Simon Garfunkel. Like it's very, very random. It was not like a Pokemon theme there. Like
I think we just got the Pokemon theme.
Like a
I don't know,
remix of it, didn't we?
Yeah, you get a remix of it, and we got a remix of it at the beginning too when Ash
that's
was
right.
fighting the pirate guy.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, sorry, continue. But I just remembered that song and knew that would not be in the Japanese version.
no, that's fair. Yeah, so overall, I really enjoyed this movie. It's definitely something that I can't give it like super critical points because it's a kids show and it's like not the greatest. Pointing out the animation, there's this one moment where like Ash is leading the charge with all of these Pokemon behind him. That's the same moment. That's the same moment where like he just runs up and punches Mewtwo when there's like a ton of Pokemon that are also angry that are coming after him. It definitely feels like it was understated because there were so many Pokemon behind them, and then immediately after that scene, it goes back to the normal shading and the normal look. Yeah, there was some definite quality drops at times, but that doesn't matter when you're having fun, and fun is the main thing I like in my shows, and that fun earns it an 8.
All right. Voice actress for Meowth, the subs, literally has done almost nothing other than Meowth for the past like 20 something years. I guess they did Shaman King and My Hero Academia, but they look like irrelevant characters in the like minor roles. So that's pretty funny, I think, to build an entire career off of being Meowth. That's pretty cool. Jay, what about you? What was your final thoughts and score?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first Pokemon movie. I've seen this so many times. So like my final thoughts are basically the same as like my previous thoughts before. It's a good movie. It's solid. If you like Pokemon, I mean, you've definitely seen this before, I assume, if you like Pokemon. If you don't like Pokemon or weren't never really into it, this is a good like introduction to that. There's not a ton of like it's just a good jumping in point, really. Like, look at like Pete or Kat, two people who weren't really Pokemon kids. They loved this shit. Pete probably loved this the most out of anybody, and he's like the least Pokemon inclined person here by a lot. Um,
True.
yeah, I think that I want to give this a watch in the sub, honestly, because from what I understand, people actually really like that ending song that you had mentioned, Pat. It's ranked as like one of the best pieces ever composed for the series. So I'm interested in seeing that because I've never seen it before. And I'm just curious what the general vibe is like as well, because it seems like there is obviously some pretty major differences due to 4 kids meddling. Shocker, I know.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the meddling 4 kids did make like I always think they get a bad rap meddling when it's like you're expecting like American kids to understand the nuance of like something that that a Japanese kid would understand too. Like I agree, there's some like the jelly roll thing, like that's just or jelly donut.
They have some
So
hits
there,
and some misses,
yeah,
basically.
exactly. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's how I feel. I just always feel like people focus so much on, but I do get what you're saying, and the music too. To be clear too, yeah, I was not. I liked
But
the song. It just I
a
was like, what
as
is
like
this
a
song?
small counterpoint though for the like defending 4 kids thing, one thing you have to realize is that they're not doing the American dub for Pokemon. They're doing the English dub, which
Mhm.
means that other countries that get the English dub, like, Australia, the UK, a lot of places, like a lot of Western European countries would just have the English dub as well on some channels, I assume. So like a lot of these references that they make for Americans are going over the heads of like a large portion of the audience for the dub actually. Like the Minnesota Vikings thing. I imagine like Australian and UK viewers were like, "What the fuck? What does that have to do with anything?" Like
I don't know. The
for
world
us,
revolves around us, so like I get
that's true. We
they would
do,
have figured
yeah,
it out.
fair. You got me there. Manifest destiny, etc. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, I would recommend this very strongly. But I would probably say, honestly, watch both of them and see which one you prefer. Because I think that they're very different experiences. I gave this 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. All right, Pete. What about you?
My rating has no bounds. I have shows that are thought provoking, discussions where we spent countless hours talking. We got shows like Perfect Blue, Free Red, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Then I have shows like Laid Back King and Laid Back King, where if you look at my Mal, they are all the same rating. But it doesn't matter because like it's all the same to me if I'm enjoying what I'm watching. And I enjoyed the living hell out of this movie. This was so much fun. Like, I don't care if the dialogue was written by middle schoolers. I don't care if the plot holes had more than Swiss. It's irrelevant. I had an absolute blast watching the show. I'm giving Pokemon the first movie a 10 out of 10.
Let's fucking go. What a winner.
It's yeah.
This movie was awesome. I loved it.
Wow.
I have some good news for you about the entire show then. If you liked this general energy, to just watch the dub.
You know what else? What's crazy about this? I have no interest in watching any more Pokemon. This was
you
great.
can just never topple this, and you can't get any better.
Exactly. Like, I've already reached the top. Like, why do I want to fall down the hill? Like, let's call it a day.
The top is number 8, but yeah, you're pretty close. You're only one movie away. So
I guess I'll never know unless it wins.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Time to rally the troops. I guess my closing thoughts would just be, I love Pokemon. Thank you, creators of Pokemon, for making this thing exist. This IP, this brand. It is so wonderful. I interact with it every single day of my life in some way, whether that's playing Pokemon Go or talking to my little brother, who is even more obsessed with it than I am about it, because he'll ask me questions all the time, or I'll hear him playing Pokemon in the living room, or YouTubers I watch will use Pokemon route music as their intro or outro music on YouTube, and it makes me think and be nostalgic towards it. I cannot express enough how much I love Pokemon, and that this movie, although I don't remember it as clearly as others, I do still remember seeing Mewtwo for the first time when I was little and whoa, he looks weird, and still thinking he was cool, but thinking he was very weird looking and creepy, and this movie just hit in so many different ways, and I really enjoyed watching it. 7 out of 10, and I think that's pretty fair. I'm trying my best to not use nostalgia glasses on this. So 7 out of 10. That brings our average score to around an 8.0 dot. So a little bit higher than the Mal rating of a 7.66. I think that's a pretty fair rating for this movie. Pretty enjoyable. And yeah, I guess that wraps up our Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. You, Miles, you have what we're watching next.
I do.
Yeah.
So in third place, earning its first legacy point, we have Citrus.
Woo!
In second place, earning its first legacy point, we have Kokoro Connect.
Boo.
And in first place, earning its 0th, because it doesn't need any legacy points, we have Link Click.
Damn.
3, I guess.
Let's go.
Luckily for me, I started watching 2 over the last couple weeks, and
I was
almost
wondering
done
why
with
you were
that.
watching it. I was like, I have a good idea.
That's why. Though I did start before any votes really came in, just because I knew that it would win sooner or later. And it was sooner. So
Much sooner, yes. But yeah, that's what we'll be watching on March 10th. So yeah, get started. I mean, it's, what is it, 6 episodes too? So it'll be super easy to watch nice and quickly. We're going back to China for this episode. That'll be fun. I love Link Click. Oh man, I actually am really excited to watch this. So yeah, that's what we're watching, and we have a special watch club after that will be not needing to nominate for. So yeah, you guys are just gonna have to sit and wonder and ponder what we have cooked up.
Oh, we can tell people. It's not a surprise.
No, it's an April Fool. It's an April Fool's surprise.
It's not a surprise.
It's a surprise. Don't spoil the surprise, Pete.
All right. I guess if you have ears or eyes, you know what we're doing.
No, you don't, because it's a surprise for Watch Club. Yeah, no, obviously we're doing, but I'm not gonna say it. So that's all
we have
for
to like
Watch
put it in
Club.
Discord and stuff. Like, hey, by
No.
the way,
Yeah,
Watch
to
Club
keep
voters.
kayfabe alive.
All right, here, fine.
This isn't a wrestling podcast.
Ultimate Spin Zone.
It is.
Here's an Ultimate Spin Zone. If you want to find out what we're doing, please join Discord.
Or if you can hear
Thanks,
Pat,
guys.
if you want to hear what we're watching, or come to our Discord. Sorry, Pat, you were fading.
What the fuck? I literally was talking straight into my mic without moving my head or changing my
When you
volume.
talk like that, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I can't yell all day long. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But yeah, we'll figure it out someday. One of these days, the microphone will just stop working. Especially, it only seems to happen at the end of the episode. I don't get it.
Working
Whatever.
right now. You're perfect
Yeah.
now.
No, wonderful. I love technology and
It senses your
all this
anger.
stuff. Yeah, you can. Yeah, the Irish rage is coming through right now. So, yeah, let's end this episode before I get a little too angry.
Save that
I
anger
will,
for next week's episode.
Oh yes, good lord. What are we doing, Pete? Because that wraps up Watch Club. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, if you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on, or give me a bunch of money. Next week, we are doing our fantasy football punishment episode. So we will be watching all the shows we were assigned and hating our lives for watching it. Except for maybe Miles. I think his show is like fine. Yeah.
It was fine.
Miles-
6 out of 10.
Miles
Little
got the
spoiler.
fine show, but unfortunately, I got the lolly basketball show. Preston got the Gotcha Musketeer show. I'm super intrigued to hear what that show's even about. And what everyone else got. We have a special guest. Tyler's going to be joining us. So thank you so much for listening, and we're going to see you next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.